Okay, what's up, people? I just realized that my mic wasn't working, which is why you're supposed to do a mic test audio check before every stream. But I'm an idiot, so for the past like 2 days, well, the last 2 streams I did, you couldn't even hear what I was saying. Because I got a new motherboard and a new like setup, and apparently, like, it messed up my settings, so I had to fix all that. Anyway, yeah, so here we go. We're picking up where we left off the other day, obviously. Where else would we pick up? But let's go ahead and jump in. Happy Friday. You made it. My leg's still busted. Haven't been able to sleep because of these steroids. So, like, way off schedule. Unfortunately. Way off schedule. But let's see, what did we do last time? So last time we merged server and server refactor. We reviewed it, we tested it, everything was working. We did the same thing, merging client with client refactor multiprocessing. Reviewed and tested that, everything was working, good. And then we began working on fixing branches and files to tidy up our project directories and Git repo. So see things to do for next steps concerning this. And that is that's good. That's something that needed to be done. It was getting a little messy. Our directories are getting kind of crowded here. Yeah, we got a lot going on, dude. This is a pretty big project. I'm gonna go ahead and delete these database files because I think methinks I don't need them anymore. I could be wrong, but do we need this backup file for client? Well, didn't we? Well, I put a note at the top. Back file for backup prior to merge diff with client refactor save. Perfect. So that lets me know I created this before I merged these two files, which was what I was going to do next. But I can't really merge them because they're not. Client refactor save isn't finished yet. It's not like it's not completely refactored. So I can't merge those two yet because, well, one of them's broken. Not. Let's see if the audio. How does it sound? Finished yet? It's not like it's not completely refactored. So there he is. All right, audio sounds pretty good. Audio sounds pretty dope, dude. All right, let's. Let's post it, baby. Post it, baby. And see if it's actually working. Pretty dope, dude. All right, let's. I feel like the mic sounds clear now compared to what it was sounding. It was sounding not very great. But all right, cool. So we're set up. Let's do this. Timer set. Okay, so where are we at here? Well, let's check our extensions first. Extensions are good. Nothing needs to be changed there. Okay, so let's go ahead and just do a quick test just to make sure we're in a working state, which we said we did, but I like to do that at the beginning of every session just to make sure. So let's cd to the project core directory to run the server, and we only have one server file now, which is cool. And then let's run the client, And which one are we gonna run? Well, we're gonna try refactor save just to see, but yeah, that one doesn't actually work. That's right. So we have to fix that one. Let's run regular client, and we're gonna do L for local. Now let's run the second client, get it rolling, and there we go. It's set up. It's gonna be J. Don't ever install this stupid ass program. I gotta delete it. I've just been putting it off. It's one of those programs that once you like install it, it doesn't want you to delete it, and it hides from you and stuff, you know? Like it tries to not get deleted. It's one of those programs that thinks it's gonna like force its way on you. And it just doesn't work like that, right? And if you notice, the game runs at a faster rate, and this is because I'm pretty sure I have a new, faster computer. It's not a new computer, but it's an upgraded motherboard and CPU and RAM and graphics card. So all of the go fast stuff, the performance stuff is better. And since the server is running on that machine, my computer, the game itself, from the client's perspective, runs faster, which is pretty good for testing, as it allows us to go through this a little quicker. And we did fix the score bug and everything, so let's just verify that. If you go ahead and play all these cards, and we're going to use this wild card here, this 2. Let's use this. We're going to use the 2, and we're going to put it with the queen, of course. And there we go. So now this should be 20 points, 30, 40, and then 50, 55. And that's correct. We met our meld requirement of 55. Of 50, because our score was actually 55. And we successfully created our meld. We're going to discard. Let's discard the 6. All right. Now it's the other player's turn, and we're going to try to draw from the discard pile. We don't have any matches in the hand to be able to do that, so we're not going to be able to actually do that. It's going to make us draw from the stock instead, and that lets me know it's working good. But let's try to run a third and fourth client. So let's do CD main again, and then run a client, hit L, then we're going to do CD main again, run the client, hit L for local, and now we have third client, and then we have fourth client, and there we go. So we got 4 clients running. Pretty cool, right? Looks like everything works, so we know we're in a stable state. Yeah. So what do we do next? Okay. Well, let's go over to things to do. And as our first thing listed, we want to fix our branches, because our branch setup has become, well, I just haven't been doing it the proper way, the professional way. I've been doing it in a way that works, but it's not really best practice from a professional programmer's perspective. Instead of creating a new branch for the feature that I was adding, I was basically just creating a secondary version of the file that I was refactoring to add the feature under a different name, like client refactor instead of client. And then I would eventually just delete the original file once I knew that the refactor was valid, and then rename it back to the original client name. But we want to do it a little more professional now. So what we're going to do is we're going to fix all this. That's not the only problem. There's a few problems, but let's just go ahead and start. So first of all, we want to delete the master branch, because basically master branch is old and hasn't been updated in so long. It's basically dead. It's matter of fact, let's go to GitHub and let me sign in and let's see if I can. Let's go to my Canasta. Let's see, master branch. The last commit was last year. And at that point we've had 235 commits. But if we go to secondary, which secondary is actually the branch that we've been working on for so long. This was committed yesterday. It's 368 commits ahead of master. So it's safe to say master is just a dead branch altogether. And what we're going to do is we're just going to cut it off completely. We're going to completely get rid of it. Yeah, so we're just going to delete it. And then we have single player final. Single player final branch, that is the single player. That was before I made the game into an online game. That was when it was just a single player local. It was a local game, you know, in its former state. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's delete this branch. And as far as from this Git website, I don't know if we can delete this branch from here. I have never tried to do that. I don't know how that works exactly. Let's see. Well, it's really just faster to just ask AI. I really prefer ChatGPT, honestly. ChatGPT seems to be my favorite. I just like the responsiveness. I like the responses I get. It's usually pretty accurate, and I just prefer it over the others. And so let's go ahead and ask how to delete a branch from GitHub. You can delete a branch from GitHub using the command line or the GitHub web interface. Delete a branch using the command line. So to delete a local branch, run git branch d branch name. This will delete the branch only if it has been merged into the current branch. If the branch is not merged, use git branch d capital D. This forces deletion even if unmerged. And then to delete a remote branch, we could do git push origin delete double dash delete branch name. This remove the branch from GitHub. And delete a branch from the GitHub interface. You can go to the GitHub repo, click on the branches tab, find the branch you want to delete. It cannot be the default branch like main. Click the trash can icon next to the branch name to delete it. So go to the GitHub, click on branches tab. Okay. Well, it's the default, so it won't let me delete it. But for the secondary one, I don't even see... like the trash can icon. Branches, it says go to branches and then go to secondary. Let's go to view all branches. Okay, so you have to go to view all branches. There you go. So how do we make it default? We can rename this branch. So we'll rename this to be main. We'll rename secondary to main. Alright. Branch secondary will be renamed to main shortly. And let's see, how do we change it from default? So how do we, let's see, how do you change the default branch? You can change the default branch in GitHub through the web interface using the command line. Change the default branch using GitHub web interface go to the repo on GitHub, click on the settings on top right of the repo page. Let's put this over here. Alright, so let's go to change the branch in your GitHub. When go to your repo on GitHub, click on the settings. Okay. In the left sidebar, click branches. And then under default branch, click the drop down and select the new default branch. I don't see that. I don't see that. Okay, we're not going to use the website because I don't see it. And I've had problems with this before. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Okay, so it's under settings. Ah, okay, it's not this left tab. It's just general. So if we just go to general, default branch, you consider the base branch against which all pull requests. Okay. Rename branch, switch to another branch. Okay, cool. So the new default branch is going to be main. Choose another branch to use as the default branch of Canasta instead of master. Changing default branch can have unintended consequences that can affect new pull requests and clones. I understand. Update the default branch. Okay, there we go. So now we have changed the default branch. It is the base branch in your repo against which all pull requests and code commits are actually made, unless you specify a different branch. Okay, cool. And that also means you can't delete that branch because it is like the main one. The default branch has been renamed. Secondary is now named main, so it's been renamed and it's been set to the default branch, which is what we wanted to do. Cool. Now let's go ahead and get rid of that other branch. So let's go to how do we do that again? View all branches. Here we go. Alright, master. So this is the one. So this one was updated last year. It's 368 commits behind, so we want to get rid of it. Let's get it out of here. So delete it. Piece. Alright, it's deleted. And now we have the main branch. And there we go. Alright, so the GitHub repo, the remote repository, is taken care of through the GitHub interface, website interface. But now what we need to do is we need to get rid of the local versions of all this, because that was just the cloud version. So let me kill these last two because we only need 3. And what are we doing exactly? Okay, so we want to get rid of the... We can merge this back together. Let's put this tab back with that. And let's delete the master branch from the local repo. And to do that, we're going to delete a local branch. So we need to do git branch dash capital D branch dash name. So if we cd out, I don't know if we actually have to cd out. Let's do git branch. Let me do it. If we cd in and then we do git branch or git branch. Okay, it does work. We can do it from here. So we'll do git branch dash capital D dash capital D, and then main, because no, wrong one. Master. And that is the right name of it. Main is not the one we want to delete. We want to delete master. So git branch dash capital D and then branch name, which is a master. Deleted branch master. Okay, there we go. Now let's do git branch again. And now you can see there's only secondary. So we need to rename this and set it to our default. So let's see, how do we rename? Change default branch using the command line. Rename the branch locally if needed. So this would rename it, and it would set it to the default branch. Change default branch using command line. Rename the branch locally. Push the rename branch to GitHub. Push the renamed branch to GitHub. I don't know if we need to do all that. So let's just try to do this. Git branch m old branch new branch. So git branch m dash m, and then we're gonna say secondary, and we're gonna rename it to main. So now let's do git branch. So now it's changed to main. So that worked. What is dash u? Git push origin dash u. What is that? Pushes the new branch, links the local new branch to the remote branch with the same name. Pushes the new branch to the remote repository, links the local new branch to the remote branch with the same name. The U or set upstream flag sets new branch as the upstream branch, making future git push and git pull commands simpler. So whenever you set the upstream, when you run git pull or git push, it will automatically use origin/new branch as the default remote branch. Okay, so that's basically how you set the remote branch locally. Or, yeah, that's how you do that locally. So let's do that. So we're gonna do git push and then it's called Canasta is the repository. So we're gonna say git push Canasta -u main. Git push Canasta -u main. Git push Canasta -u main. There we go. Branch main set up to track Canasta main. So now if we do git branch, right? Now if we do git add, git commit, test commit after fixing branches prior to creation of new feature branch. Only branch ATM is main. On branch main, your branch is up to date with Canasta main. Changes not staged for commit. No changes added to commit. Use git add or git commit. What I did git add dot. Oh, because I'm not in the right directory. We have to now do it. Git add dot and then git commit -m. There we go. We successfully committed. Then we did 2 files changed, 2 insertions, deleted the save file database. Alright, and then we're gonna do git push. Let's say git push. Well, I like to specify. Let's say git push Canasta main. Okay, there we go. And now let's go to the interface on GitHub and see what we got going on here. So let's refresh this. And now we have only main and single player final. View all branches. And this is the default. And it was just updated. So if we click on it, there we go. Test commit after fixing branches prior to creation of new feature branch. There you go. All right, what's next? Okay, so now that that's done, we can. I don't know if I should have this up there, down there. Does it matter? Not really. All right, now we want to. Alright, now we want to create the feature branch. So we deleted the master branch. We renamed secondary branch to main branch. Now we need to create the new feature branch. So let's see, how do we do that? How to create new branch. Create a new branch using the command line. So we do git branch branch name. This creates a branch but does not switch to it. But if we want to create and switch, we do git checkout -b branch name, or git switch -c branch name. This creates the branch to switch to it immediately, and then we can push it to GitHub. This sets the branch name as the upstream branch. So git push -u origin branch name. So that links the local branch with the remote branch of whatever name, you know, well, it's going to match the name. It's got to match. So it's going to match main to main and new feature to new feature. So what does dash B do? B flag is used with the git checkout command to create and switch to a new branch in a single step. So it's the equivalent of running git branch name git checkout. So it just does, so if you just add dash B, that means create the branch as well. So if you do git checkout dash B, you're checking out to a new branch that you're creating. So that's what we want to do. So let's do git checkout dash B, and we're going to call it new feature. There we go. Alright, so what do we do now? Let's do git branch to make sure we're on the right one. We are. Okay, now we want to push it. So we're going to do git push connect, or no, actually, git push origin, not origin, it's called Canasta, and then dash U for upstream, and then we'll call it new feature. But this might throw an error because there is no new feature remote branch. Well, this might create it. Okay, so it did. It created it. So if I do git push origin dash U new feature creates a new feature remote branch if it doesn't exist already. If new feature exists locally but not remotely, Git will push the new feature branch to origin. Set new feature as the upstream branch for easier future pushables. If a new feature already exists remotely, Git will push the local branch and update the remote version. If a new feature does not exist locally. So you need to create the branch first using locally. How to check if the remote branch exists. So you can do git ls dash remote dash dash heads origin, which we don't need to do that. Or git branch r. Let's see, git branch. So this is going to check if the, so that lists all the branches. Canasta main, Canasta master, Canasta new feature, and then Canasta secondary. But I thought I deleted master, so why is it still there? So git branch R lists all remote branches. So this lists all the remote branches. Okay. If I deleted a remote branch from GitHub interface, then ran git branch -r, and branch still shows what does. If you delete a remote branch from GitHub, but it still shows when you run Git, this happens because your local Git repository hasn't updated its remote tracking references. Refresh the remote branch list. Run git fetch prune. This will remove stale remote tracking branches that no longer exist on GitHub, and it will update your local repo with the latest remote branches. Wait, so does prune pull from remote to local, or just updates listed branches? Does not pull new changes from the remote repository in your local into your local branches. It only updates the list of remote branches by removing stale references. Fetches updates from the remote origin, removes remote tracking branches that no longer exist, does not modify local branches or merge any changes. Okay, so it's safe to do. So we can do git fetch dash dash prune. Removes remote tracking branches that no longer exist on the remote repo. Does not modify local branches. So let's do git fetch dash dash prune. Git fetch dash dash prune. Alright, there we go. We deleted it. Deleted master. It deleted secondary. And it added a new branch called single player final. And it's associated. So I'm guessing this is the local branch and then the remote version. Yeah, that's why it's named Canasta slash. Okay, so now if we do git branch R, it will show us the 3 branches that exist now, which is main, new feature, and single player final. Cool. So now the branches are all fixed. We created the new feature branch. We can get rid of that. So now, what branch are we on? Let's see. We're on new feature branch. So since we're on new feature branch, we want to rename client refactor save to client in the new feature branch. So since we're on the new feature branch, we want to make this file, which is the client refactor save, to be the new feature version. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's rename this. Well, we can't because we have to first delete client. Well, let's see what happens if we try to rename this file client. Okay, it won't let us do that. So you have to first delete client, but we already have the backup file just in case. Then we're going to do renaming this, which we can do that using the shortcut, which is F2. And then we'll do client.py. There we go. So now this is renamed. And then we have this backup, but we don't, I don't know if we want the backup here. We'll make a backup on each one. So we're gonna delete this one, and then we're gonna wasn't there a quick way to do that? Then we just like, let's see, how do we, you've hit the free limit for 4.0. How to create a .back using VS Code from Py file. You can manually copy the file, use simple scripts, use the save as. So we're gonna back up. Okay, so we just literally open it up and then do file, save as, and then we do client dot back. Is that gonna do it? There we go. So now we have client back py, and is it supposed to be client back py or client py back? B finally file dot back dot py or file dot py dot back. Determine implies that the dot back dot py. It says both formats are acceptable, but if you do dot py first, if you do dot py dot back, that's going to not have the highlighted syntax. As you can see, this back py has the highlighted syntax like I want. But if I was to change this to be client py back... Oh, it does. Okay, so they actually are interchangeable. I don't know why. How come whenever... Oh, because I just... I would rather do it the way that it defaults to. So when I'm on client, and then I do save as, and then just client dot back, and then hit save, it automatically created client dot back dot py. So that's what I want. And you can see this is the new file, so it's untracked. And then M means it's modified. And I have to use the restroom, so I will be back. Okay, we're back. Let's do this. Fucked up my flow there, but I had to, you know, had to go, baby. Where are we at? All right, get it out of here. What? Okay, so we renamed the client file. We created a backup, and let's just put a little note here at the top. 3.14.25, and we're gonna say created this file on 3.14.25. Whenever I created this new feature branch. When I created the new feature branch. Yeah, so this file was created whenever I created a new feature branch. This was previously client refactor save.py and was not fully working at this time. Yeah, so there we go. Okay, cool. Now, what do we need to do? Let's go back over here. Let's get rid of that. Is it not auto-saving again? Okay, it is auto-saving, because if we do this, then we close it, and then we reopen it, yeah, it's still there. So and I'll just put a note at the top of this one as well. Created this file when I created any feature instance previously called client refactor save and was not fully working at this time. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's go to things to do. So we renamed client refactor save to client in new feature branch, and then we need to delete client refactor save from master branch since it exists as client py on new feature branch now. So let's go to master branch. Since we've been on a new feature, we're gonna switch back to so we're gonna do git checkout and then back to main. So now we've switched to main. Wait a second. Why is this? I'm confused. Why is this carrying over? Let's try this. Git checkout, and we're gonna go back to new feature. Okay. why does this show at the top of client and client back on the main branch? I don't understand. Because we didn't add these. We added these from on new feature branch. These lines. I'm sort of confused here. Let me just do something. We're gonna create a new file just called new file. Okay. And we're gonna save it in main. So now we have new file. So if we do git checkout back to new feature, why is new file in this branch? I don't understand this, because I mean the whole point of branches is they're supposed to be different, but whenever I'm switching branches, like when you switch branches, it's supposed to change your files. Like this is not normal behavior. Something's wrong with this. This is not how it's supposed to be. Because what just happened is client. You telling me a client got deleted? See, this is this is not good. As of right now, my actual working client file has been deleted. It has been overwritten by the client refactor save file, which is not what we wanted. And it's not supposed to do that. I've had experience with branch switching, and that's the whole purpose of a branch. It's got different file states per branch, but it transferred the file state from new feature to the main branch, which overwrote the client file on the main branch with the client file from the new feature branch, which means the working stable main client file is now gone. I can get it back by pulling from the remote repo, right? So but this shouldn't have happened. I don't know why that happened, but that's not what's supposed to happen. It's kind of got me pissed off. That is not cool. That's a big deal. That's why I didn't want to have the same file name. That's why I used a different file name, because I didn't want to risk that type of shit happening. Let's see. Okay, let's go to Canasta. Let's go to, we have main and new feature. Let's go to main. We have test commit after fixing branches prior to creation of new feature branch. Okay, then we have new feature branch, which is up to date with main. So it's basically a clone, so we could pull from either one. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull from main. Let's see, how do we do this? I wanted to see all the files. Canasta tag. This only shows what was changed. Browse the repo at this point in the history. Okay. Canasta. Main. There we go. So we have client and then client refactor save. So this is the file I wanted. This is, it's 608 lines. And as you can see, this one's going to be different. Yeah, this one's 722. And it's not working. So if we were to try to run it right now, so if we cd to main, and then we do run the server, and then we try to run the client, it's not going to work. See? This is not good. And we're on the right branch. This shouldn't have happened. So what we need to do is, I mean, I could just copy from here. Since I'm already here, I'll just copy it. But like the actual way to do it would have been, let's do Control Shift Home. There we go. So you should copy everything. So now we go all the way to Control End, and then Control Shift Home, and then paste. Now we have 608. Okay. So we're on the main branch, and now we have client. Should be fixed now. Let's delete this backup file. This piece of shit. It's not the actual. It's not the real one. It's a fraud. So let's run the server. Then we're gonna do pi client L, pi client, and then L, and there we go. Everything's working. And this is why you have to be careful in programming, because you see, I could have just lost my. I want to say I lost my project, but I could have just lost a significant chunk of progress, and that's not cool. I don't know if you ever like played games when you were younger, but if you ever went like a really long time and without saving, and you know how upsetting that can be, and like getting back progress. You might have got a rare item, and getting that shit back it's not easy. Yeah. So anyway, this is the working one. So I don't want to switch branches because I'm afraid that whenever I switch branches, it's gonna do what it did. You understand? I'm afraid it's going to overwrite the other file if I switch. So let me try to figure out why this is happening. So let's go to ChatGPT and say, why did it overwrite my local branches client pi file with the other branches client pi file when I switched branches from new feature to main? It's not supposed to do that. When you switch branches, Git will attempt to update the working directory to match the files in the branch you're switching to. When you switch branches in Git from new feature to main, Git will attempt to update the working directory to match the files in the branch you're switching to. But that's not even what it did. It updated the working directory to make the branch that I was switching to's files match the files in the branch I was switching from. If you have uncommitted changes in your working directory, such as changes in client pi, Git may overwrite them when you switch branches. This is because Git doesn't want to keep uncommitted changes that would conflict with the new branch you're switching to. If you have made, this is not the scenario that I described. Maybe I didn't describe it thoroughly enough. Possible reasons for overriding uncommitted changes. If you made changes to client pi in the new feature branch and tried to switch to main without committing those changes, Git will detect that the changes might conflict with the version of client pi in main and could potentially overwrite them. You may have seen this because Git couldn't automatically resolve the conflict, so it either overwritten the file or asked you to stash the changes. No stash commit. If you didn't commit or stash, Git doesn't know whether to keep changes and will likely overwrite them. Well, yeah, no. It's misunderstanding my scenario. No, that's not what happened. When I switched from new feature, what do you say, NF to M, it overwrote M's client pi to match NF's client pi. It sounds like Git automatically overwrote client pi in main with the version from new feature, your current branch, when you switch. This can happen if there are uncommitted changes that Git tries to reconcile between branches, or if Git considers the file in main to be outdated and simply replaces it with the version in new feature. Uncommitted changes in the working directory. If you had uncommitted changes in client on new feature and switch to main without committing or stashing, Git will try to apply the changes from new feature onto main if it detects no conflicts, even if the file on main is different. Why would it do that? I don't understand. This is the whole point of me using branches. I'm so confused right now. This is not the normal behavior. I've used it. I've done this before. Git tries to keep the file from the current branch and applies the changes to main, thus overriding. I don't want this to happen. This is not, like, the whole reason I did this was so that this wouldn't happen. Before switching branches, always commit or stash any changes, even if they seem minor. This ensures that Git doesn't try to reconcile committed changes across branches. Use git checkout with merge flag. If you're switching branches and you want to merge your changes from one branch to another, if you're switching branches and you want to merge your changes from one branch to another manually without overwriting the target branch, you can recover using git history if the file was committed in main previously. You can use git log to find the previous commit where client pi was last as it should be. Restore from gitters. Once you find the commit hash where client pi was as you wanted, you can restore the file doing git checkout and use the commit hash -- the file name. Restore client pi from the given commit without affecting other files. Okay, that's cool. That's cool to know. So if we do git log -- client pi, this is commit after merging diff client pi and centerpiece before fixing branch is stable and working 100% with multiprocessing. Commit after merging client pi stable and working 100% with multiprocessing. Okay. And then if we did git checkout commit hash client pi, this restore client pi. All right, but okay. The ultimately I created the 2 branches with the understanding that I could have 2 files with the same name that would never be overwriting by the other when checking out from branch to branch. How do I make it to where this doesn't happen? To ensure that 2 branches with the same file name don't overwrite each other when switching between branches, need to put it in a way that avoids conflicts. Keep changes in separate files or folders. If you work on separate features or changes that involve the same file, one way to prevent overwriting is to rename or relocate the file in one of the branches. I don't understand. I'm confused though. Keep the file as client by main branch, rename the file to client main. That's the whole point of this though. Commit your changes before switching branches. Guarantees these branches changes are preserved and you won't run into issues with overwriting files. Make sure you're on new feature branch. You check out new feature. So you get check out new feature. Commit your changes. Get client. Get commit changes. They can safely switch to the main branch. Use git ignore for local changes. If you don't want to get to track certain changes in a file but still want to keep them locally, if you don't want git to track certain changes in a file, yeah, I don't want to do that. What, bro? Man, so there isn't a setting I can use to stop this. Operates by updating the working directory to reflect the state of the branch you're switching to. Always commit or stash changes before switching branches. But am I dumb for feeling like this is... Isn't the idea of overwriting another file from a different branch counter to the whole idea of Git version control? I'm not understanding why this would be the case. This maybe you're experiencing is counterintuitive to how Git is designed to work. The goal of version control is to track changes across branches and prevent overwriting or losing data unless you explicitly merge or commit those changes. Branch switching. When you switch branches in Git, Git's purpose is to ensure that your working directory reflects the state of the branch you're checking out. This includes the files that are part of the branch. Working directory reflects the state of the branch you're checking out. So if I'm in new feature branch and do git checkout main, it shouldn't it should change my working directory live on screen in VS Code to reflect main branch files, not an F branch file states, right? Yes, when you run git checkout main while you're on new feature branch, Git will update your working directory to reflect the state of the main branch, not the new feature branch. I've never seen this. I just feel like this is not... Why is this happening? It's not supposed to happen. Any files that were between main and new feature will be replaced by the versions from the main branch. If you have any changes in your working directory that aren't committed, modifications to client in new feature, those changes will be lost. Yeah, that's the whole point of switching branches. If you have modifications to client and new feature, those changes will be lost or cause a conflict. Yeah. If you're on new feature, you have some changes, they're different from main, you run git checkout main, git replace client pi in your working directory with the version from the main branch. So why did this happen? If you have uncommitted changes to your working directory when switching branches, like edits to client pi that you haven't committed in new feature, Git will not allow you to switch unless you commit the changes or stash the changes. But it didn't prevent me from doing that. Oh, because it's a bug in Git because there was no uncommitted changes. But there were, because I added that line at the top of client. It didn't stop me though. So always do git stash before checkout. Always do git stash before checkout. Okay. Is there a one-liner to always git stash when I check out? Git alias that automatically stashes your changes before switching branches. This way you can ensure your local changes are stashed whenever you switch branches. Sets up as a one-liner. Open your terminal or command prompt. Run this command to create an alias for git checkout that automatically stashes changes before switching. Git config -- global alias.co git stash dash u and git checkout. So this alias does 2 commands in one. Git co. Wait, git co. Will now stash any untracked files. Dash U option. And then perform the checkout. Will now stash any untracked files. U option. And then perform the checkout. Then git checkout will execute normally, switching to the branch you specify. Instead of using git checkout, you can use git co to automatically stash changes or switching branches. Git co main. This will stash your changes and switch to the main branch. Okay, I don't want to do this. This is some goofy shit. It's not supposed to be this way. You're supposed to just be able to let's do this. Let's see if this works now. We're gonna do git branch. Now let's do cd dash. Alright. So we're on main. Client's good, everything's good. So now we're gonna do git add, git commit, ensuring client pi is proper after issues with branch switching from new feature overwriting with its version of client pi. Odd behavior. Okay. 4 files changed. So we deleted client pi back. We deleted client refactor. Now we're gonna do git push canasta main. Okay, there we go. Now let's do git checkout new feature. Okay. Now we're on new feature. We're in client file. And look, it overwrote it. It overwrote it. See? It just did it. It just did the thing I was talking about. Now we got client refactor save. Let's go down here. 722. So if we delete I'm gonna try to get this right without having to do some goofy shit, because it's not supposed to be this way. I don't believe my understanding. So it says deleted M, so it's modified. All right, now everything's proper. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. Okay, now let's do cd Canasta main, run server, no such file. Oops. There we go. My client. There we go. Okay. This is how it should be on this branch. So if we kill this server and we do git branch, we're on a new feature. Okay. Now we're going to create the we're going to do save as. We're going to create the back. So we're going to do dot back. There we go. Now we're going to add this at the top. We're going to say 3:14:25. I guess it's because it's at the top, so it doesn't see them as being different, because from line 2 onward, like if I just added one line in the middle, but it's still untracked and modified, like it's still modified. But I guess because we haven't committed, we haven't made our first commit. I guess once we commit one time, this odd behavior will not happen anymore. That's my that's what I'm hoping. So let's do let's say created this backup on 3:14:25 when I created new feature branch, renamed client refactor save pi to client pi and immediately created this backup. It is not in a working state and reflects the state of client refactor save.py at the time of branch creation. We're going to copy this, then we're going to go back to client. We're going to hit enter, paste this, and we're going to say created this on 3:14. Rename client refactor saved, immediately create this backup in our working state. Time of branch creation. Creating future branch renamed to client immediately. It is not a working state, reflects the state at the time of branch creation. Alright, so now we have two of them that are on track, or one that's on track, one modified. So now we're gonna do cd out. We're gonna okay, yeah, so we did all that correctly. Now we're on git branch, new feature. Okay, cool. So now we're gonna do git add, git commit, and we're gonna say first commit from new feature branch after renaming client refactor save pi to client pi and creating client dot back to reflect this version of client pi is not stable / working, as does the main branch's version of this file. Okay, so now there we go. So we did 3 files changed, 405 insertions, 898 deletions. We renamed refactor save to rename Canasta main client refactor save client backpie. Deleted Canasta main client pie back. I'm confused. I'm confused by that output. Now I'm scared to switch. Okay. Let's try it. I'm nervous. Let's do git checkout main. There we go. That's what's supposed to happen. But I thought we had created the backup file. So that's why it's crossed out. And this is going to be of the 723. Yeah, this is the backup from the new feature branch. So we don't want that. But we do want to create so let's say main feature or main branches client py file as of this day is working 100% stable. And 100% stable. Do not let this be overwritten by new feature branches version of client py, as it is not stable or working. And now we're gonna do a save as, which is Control-Shift-S, and then we're gonna do client.back. Then, now, we need to, we'll just add created backup this day after creation of new feature branch. This is main branches client. Let's put that in there as well. We'll put this is main branches client file. Alright, so those are saved. Now we're going to do git branch. We should be on main. We're going to git add dot git commit dash m, and then we're going to say first commit after fixing odd behavior of git checkout overriding this branch's client py file. This version should be 100% working with multiprocessing. but without save system. That is what is being worked on in new feature branch. There we go, baby. Okay, there we go. 2 files changed, 610 insertions, so we created the client back. Now that output makes sense to me. So we're going to git push Canasta main. And we really should just do git push from now on, because if I could accidentally push to the wrong repo if I was confused about which branch I was on. So now we're on main branch. Okay, so now if we switch over to new feature, baby. There we go. It created this other doing create a new feature branch. There you go. So as you can see, this is gonna be like a 700 something line file, and so is this one. And now when I do git checkout main, it's going to change to a 609 line file. That works. And 609 line file. That works. Cool. So now we got that figured out. It took a little bit longer, but it was because that odd behavior was because I hadn't made my first commit yet. So that was the problem. I created, it was just because it was like a brand new baby branch that, and having renamed, I guess it was because they were both new and hadn't been committed yet. Something the way that Git works, that's not the normal behavior, as you can see. So just make sure if you ever create a new branch, or like do any weird branch modification like I did, like renaming it and changing the default branch and stuff, make sure that before you check out to a new branch, you either stash or commit and push to the remote repo. Just in case this does happen, you want to have it on the remote so that you can revert back to it in the case that that odd behavior does happen whenever you switch over, like whenever you switch back and it overwrites your files. But I think as long as you commit first, I don't know if you have to push, you probably don't have to push, but as long as you commit first and then switch branches, it won't do that. So you create a new branch, you commit your current branch, you switch to the new branch, and then that branch is going to be different because of whatever, you know, you changed one of the files, it's different now. Before you switch back to main, you need to commit, because if you don't, when you switch back to main, it's going to carry those changes from new feature and overwrite your main. So push, commit from main, create new feature branch, switch to new feature branch, push to new feature, or commit to new feature, push if you want, then switch back to main, and everything should reflect main's state. And then if you switch back to new feature, it will reflect new feature state. And it's like two different versions. And then that's what this Git is for. Git is for version control. So you can do this. You can have two different forms of the same project, even with the same file names, but you can just switch. It's like magic. Whenever you do that checkout, it changes all your files to reflect the branch that you're switching to's file state. It's cool, and it is the proper way to do file management and version control. You're not really just supposed to like create a new client backup or a new client refactor file that is basically a copy paste of client and work on it from the same branch. You're supposed to have those on two separate branches with both the same client file name. Just client on this branch, client on that branch. Two branches, same file name, different state in each file because they're different branches. Anyway, let's see. So we deleted client refactor save from master branch. Since it exists kind of file, we did that. The feature branch will be new feature branch will be where we will work and start properly merging back into the main branch like we should as a pro when features are done. So yeah, whenever the new feature in new feature is done and is like stable, we will then do a merge to merge client from new feature with client in main, and we will look at the diff, and we will have to do conflict resolution to determine, you know, which code from each branch to have in the final version that will be merged. Well, I think actually does a merging of branch make the, let's see, does a merge from new feature into main make new feature disappear as a branch? Merge the feature into branch does not make the new feature branch disappear. The merge only integrates changes from new feature branch into the main, but keeps the new feature branch intact. Merge new feature into main. You do get checkout main and then get merge new feature. This integrates all the changes from new feature into main. After the merge, main will have the changes from new feature. After the merge, main will have the changes from new feature, but the new feature branch still exists. New feature branch is still there. Even after merging, new feature branch remains a branch. It's still available for use, and you can continue making changes or delete it manually if you no longer need it. I mean, yeah, that makes sense too. Like, you just keep it, and then you just switch back to it for the next new feature. So, like, you could call main the stable branch. You could just really call it stable. You want to keep main as the stable working branch. Once you hit, like, that stable new feature checkpoint, you then would merge it back into main, and then go back to your new feature branch, work on the next feature. Once it's stable and working, merge that new feature back into main, and just rinse and repeat. And that is the proper professional way to do your version control. If you want, you can delete it, but that would be kind of silly because you would just recreate it again to, you know, create your next feature. Yeah, unless you're done with it, like you're finished completely. So anyway, I think that's where I'm gonna call it quits for today. I'm pretty happy with the progress. That needed to be done. It feels nice. So let's get rid of this. Let's say finish client refactor save. Get this file in a stable running state. So that's going to be our next step. Is going to be finishing client refactor save, which is now just client. And let me make sure I'm on the right branch. We want to be working from new feature. So we're on main. What we actually want to do is well, you know what? I guess what I'll do, because I wanna share devlog. Like, I wanna update the devlog, and I wanna make sure that devlog is merged from. We don't have to do this once because we're not going to be working on from main for the rest of the time. So what I'll do, I'll just do a ghetto version of the right way to do it. It's not really a ghetto version. It's an easier version. But since we did make the fixes on main, we're gonna go to devlog and we'll put that in there. So we'll put 7:23 to 9:12, and that's 2 hours and not 2 hours. It's an hour and almost 2 hours. It's 11 minutes short. So we'll just say we're 15 minutes short, which is an hour and 45 minutes, which is 1.75, which is almost 2 hours. It's pretty good. To 9:10. We'll say created or what do you say? Fixed branches. Created new new feature branch for clients refactor save pi renamed secondary branch to, you know what was messing me up typing? I just realized it. This little thing, this extender, I thought it would help me to rest my elbow on, but I just realized now that I moved it, it actually messes up my typing. Rename secondary branch to main, and made that the default remote git repo branch. Fixed each branch to reflect state of, to reflect different file state. Did initial commits and pushes to each branch with clear descriptions on commit messages. There we go. That's it. Now let's do, we're going to stage and commit these changes. This was really important actually. Now we're going to put 9.11 to 9.12. Stage committed and push changes to remote repo, created a new local backup of the entire project. So we're on git branch. We're on main. Now let's copy this, and then we're gonna do git add git commit -m. We're gonna paste in that message. 2 files changed, 7 insertions, 6 deletions. So it's just this devlog that was changed. Now we're gonna do git push Canasta, and we're just gonna do git push from now on because we don't want to say the wrong one. Because if I put git push Canasta new feature, it would push to new feature, and that would overwrite the other branch. So it pushed from main to main. Now we're gonna do git, well, first of all, let me copy this file because this is the ghetto thing I was talking about, and really all we're doing is just adding this devlog. So we're gonna do git checkout new feature. So now we're on new feature branch. Just verify that it is the correct version. Yep, and this is correct because the one in the other branch was all capital, and you can see this one's not capitalized and it should be 723. Yep, there we go. So we can exit out of those. Now we go to devlog here. We're gonna paste this in. Now we're gonna go to things to do. We can get rid of this. There we go. Go over to devlog, and we already have that copied. So now we're going to do git branch, make sure we're on the right branch, new feature, git add, git commit -m double quote, paste in this. There we go. Booyah. Now git push, and just git push. Now this should push from new feature to new feature. Now if we do, well, that's it. Now main, we're not going to be working on main. We're going to stay on new feature. We're always going to commit to new feature. We're always going to push to new feature. Once new feature is stable with the save system and client file, we're then going to switch to main and then merge the client. We're going to merge new feature branch into the main branch, but that's going to be in the future. So for now, we're going to stay in this branch for a long time. Get branch, new feature. All right, cool. So we're in the right branch. We did everything correctly. We can close this out. Now we're going to go over to our local. We're going to create a local backup. So let's go to projects, Canasta. And we're going to copy this. We're going to back out. We're going to go into Canasta backup, delete the old version. Now you're going to get a, we didn't get our notification from Google Drive. I don't know why, we usually do. So let's enter into it, go to devlog, go all the way to the end, and it does reflect today's date. So let's exit out. That means we did everything properly. Now we have a local backup on our hard drive as well as a backup on the remote repository, just in case you know, GitHub goes down, and you know, you never know. Shit happens, right? World War III might start, and I need to make sure I save this version of the game on a hard drive before we get nuked, so that after I survive the nuclear holocaust or whatever apocalypse, I can reappear from our subterranean city and redeploy our Canasta game once we get our internet back up and running. Okay, so we're done. Everything's good. We updated the name of the backup file to reflect today's